Journey to the West, an audio drama series. Chapter 32, Part 2. We speak of Xingzhe, who just transformed into a tiny bug and followed Bajie. With a sharp buzz, it flew off and caught up to Bajie before landing on the root of his bristles behind the ear. All the fool did was walk on. How could he know that someone was on him? After walking for 7 or 8 li, he threw off his rake and turned around. Staring in the direction of the tongue monk, he pointed and cursed. You feckless old monk, mischievous Bima Wen and spineless Sha-monk. They can all be carefree there, only tricking old boy here into stomping on the road. We are all seeking scriptures with the hope to find the true fruit. How is it that only I am sent here to patrol some lousy mountain? Ha! And you know there are monsters in this place. Even if you purposely try to avoid them, there is still 1/2 chance that we come across each other. But you are telling me to find them. What misfortune! I will just take a nap there, returning only after I'm done sleeping. Then I can just give them vague answers to show them I did patrol the mountains. And that will be the end of it. Feeling rather lucky, he picked up his rake and resumed walking. What he discovered was a curved patch of reddish grass in the fold of the mountain. So he dove in and used his rake to flatten the ground, creating a sleeping mat before rolling down to sleep. Stretching his waist, he yelled, How delightful! Even Bima Wen cannot be as carefree as I am now. It turned out that Xingzhe was right behind his ear and heard every sentence he said. He couldn't help but fly off to trick Bajie again. So with a shake, he transformed into a woodpecker with a red beak and sharp, steel-like talons. The little bird was neither big nor small. If you weigh it, it will only be 2 or 3 liang, around 100 grams by today's standards. With a copper-red beak and iron-black feet, it spread its wings and swooshed down. Bajie was just falling asleep with his head down when the bird attacked him right on the lips. Scrambling to his feet in panic, the fool yelled wildly, There is a monster! There is a monster! They stabbed me with a spear! How it hurts on my mouth! He touched it with his hand and saw blood coming out. He then said, The calamity! I haven't got anything worth celebrating. Why is there red on my mouth? He looked at his bloody hand and began looking to his sides as he muttered on. However, not a single movement was found. He therefore said, If there is no monster, how come a spear stabbed me? Suddenly looking up, he saw the woodpecker flying in mid-air. Gritting his teeth, he scolded, You wretched creature! It's enough to have Bima Wen bully me, but now even you are doing the same. I know. It must have not realized I am a person, but took my snout for a rotting tree with bugs living in it. It is looking for some bugs for a meal, and that's why they pecked me. Let me just tuck my snout in my chest as I sleep. And so the fool rolled over and went back to sleep. Xingzhe flew by again and pecked the bottom of his ear. The fool was startled and got up shouting, This wretched creature is disturbing me to no end. This must be their nesting site, where they lay eggs and raise their young. They fear I would occupy it, and that's why they keep harassing me. All right, I'm not going to sleep. Carrying his rake, he made his way straight out of the reddish grassy slope before finding another path. How could this not delight Sun Xingzhe and make the handsome Monkey King laugh till he dropped? Xingzhe remarked, This stuffed creature has 2 eyes wide open, but could not even recognize his own family. Splendid great sage! He shook his body and turned back into a tiny insect. He again landed behind Bajie's ear so he could stay close. The fool entered the depth of the mountain and walked for another 4 or 5 li. Then, in the fold of the mountain, he found 3 green square slabs of rocks the size of tables. The fool put down his rake and greeted the rocks loudly. Xingzhe secretly laughed and said, This fool, the rocks are not humans. They can neither talk nor return the gestures. What is he doing greeting them? Isn't that just fooling around in vain? It turned out that the fool was pretending that the rocks were the Tang monk, Sha monk, and Xingzhe, and using them for rehearsal. He said, "When I return and see Master, if they ask me whether there are monsters here, I will answer yes. When they ask me what mountain this is, if I answer things like, it's molded with mud, made with dirt, wrought with tin, forged from copper, steamed from flour, plastered with paper, or drawn with a brush. Given how they already call me a fool, such words will make me look even more foolish. I will just tell them this is Rock Mountain. If they ask me what cave it is, I will just say it's Rock Cave. If they ask about the gates, I will just say they have sheet iron doors studded with nails. If they ask how far the cave goes, I will just say there are 3 layers inside. If they insist on digging in the details and asking me how many nails there are on the doors, I will say that old Bo was too distracted to remember clearly. Now I have it all figured out. Let's go trick that Bima Wen." And so the fool made up a story, dragged his rake, and returned the way he came. What he didn't know was that Xingzhe was behind his ear and took in every word. Seeing Bajie making his way back, Xingzhe flapped his wings a couple of times and got back before him. He then showed his original form and saw his master. The master asked, "Wukong, you have returned. Why isn't Wuneng back yet?" Xingzhe laughed and said, "He's there making up lies. He will be back in a bit." The elder said, "His 2 ears can cover his eyes. A clumsy one he is. What sort of lie can he even make up? Or is this some nonsense you fabricated and blamed on him?" Xingzhe said, "Master, you are always covering up for his flaws. My words can be proven by questioning him." He then recounted how Bajie slept in the grass, was awakened by a woodpecker and greeted rocks, as well as all the lies he made up about Rock Mountain, Rock Cave, sheet iron doors, and monsters. When he was done talking, the fool soon made his way back. He feared he would forget his lies, so he kept his head down and rehearsed the answers in his mouth. Xingzhe shouted at him, "Fool, what are you muttering?" Bajie flipped up his ears and saw them, so he replied, "I have come back." And so the fool went up and prostrated himself. The elder helped him up and said, "Disciple, you must be exhausted." Bajie said, "That's right. Those who do the walking and climbing are the most exhausted of all." The elder asked, "Are there monsters here?" Bajie answered, There are a bunch of monsters." The elder asked, "How did they send you off?" Bajie answered, "They called me Ancestor Pig and Grandfather Pig and arranged some noodles and vegetarian dishes to treat me. They told me they would wave flags and beat drums to escort us across the mountain." Xingzhe said, "I bet you fell asleep in the grass and are talking in your dreams." The fool heard that and was so frightened it was as if he grew shorter by 3 cun, saying, "Oh, Gramps, how did he know that I was sleeping?" Xingzhe went up and seized him before asking, "Come over here. Let me ask you." The fool panicked again and asked, trembling, "Just ask, why the seizing?" Xingzhe asked, "What mountain is it?" Bajie answered, "It's Rock Mountain." "What cave is it?" He answered, "It's Rock Cave." "What doors do they have?" He answered, "Sheet iron doors studded with nails." "How far does the cave go?" He answered, "There are 3 layers inside." Xingzhe said, "No need to continue, for I remember the remaining half of it quite clearly. I fear that Master will not believe me, so I am saying that for you." Bajie said, "Pretentious! You were not there. What do you even know that you are saying it for me?" Xingzhe chuckled and said, "How many nails are there on the doors? I will say that old Bo was too distracted to remember clearly. Isn't that right?" The fool was so terrified, he dropped to his knees. Xingzhe continued, "Greeting the rocks and pretending they're us so you can have a back-and-forth conversation. Isn't that right? And you also said, 'Now I have it all figured out. Let's go trick that Bima Wen.' Isn't that right?" The fool could only kowtow non-stop and ask, "Elder brother, I was the one who patrolled the mountains. Could it be that you followed me and heard everything?" Xingzhe cursed, "You Grain-stuffed fool! We asked you to patrol the mountains in this critical moment, only to have you fall asleep instead. If it weren't for the woodpecker who woke you up, you will still be fast asleep. When the peck woke you, you went on to make up these blatant lies. You could have sabotaged the entire journey. Now stretch out your ankles quickly. I will give you 5 strokes just so you take the lesson to heart. Horrified, Bajie said, Your morning stick is so heavy that a slight rub will break my skin and a single brush will hurt my tendons. If you hit me 5 times, it would mean death to me. Xingzhe asked, If you're so scared of getting beaten, why lie? Bajie said, Oh, big brother, it's just this once. I will never dare do this again. Xingzhe said, If it's just once, then I'll just give you 3 strokes then. Bajie said, Oh, grandfather, I can't even stand half a stroke. The fool ran out of options, so he clutched his master and begged. Please speak for me. The elder replied, When Wukong said you fabricated lies, I didn't quite believe him. But it turned out to be true. You really do deserve a beating. However, as we are making our way across this mountain, there are only so many of you to help out. Wukong, do spare him for now. Beat him only after we have crossed the mountain. Xingzhe said, As the ancients say, to obey your parents' sentiments is the greatest form of filial piety. If master tells me to not beat you, I will let you off for now. Go patrol for him again. If you keep on lying and mess things up, I won't spare a single stroke. The fool could only get on his feet and leave again. Look at him, running onto the main road as suspicion birthed gloomy thoughts. Every step of the way, he suspected that Xingzhe transformed into something and was following him. So whatever he saw, he assumed it was Xingzhe. After walking for 7 to 8 li, he saw a tiger passing by the slope. He was not afraid and just raised his rake to say, Elder brother is here to hear me lie, aren't you? I'm not making anything up this time. He then resumed walking when the mountain gust became so violent it toppled a dead tree and sent it tumbling towards him. Stomping and beating his chest, he said, Oh, big brother, what is this all about? I already told you I dare not make up lies again. Now why try beat me up by turning into a tree? He then moved forward before seeing an old crow with a white neck, squawking several times above his head. He responded by saying, Big brother, how very shameless of you. Shameless. When I say I won't be lying again, I really mean it. What are you doing turning into a crow? Are you here to listen? But it turned out that Xingzhe did not follow him around this time. He was only frightening himself with suspicion and imagination. That's why no matter where he went, he assumed Xingzhe was following him. We speak not of how the fool was caught up in fear and suspicion, but instead talk about this mountain named Flat Top Mountain and the cave named Lotus Flower Cave. In the cave lived 2 monsters. One was named Jinjiao Da Wang, Great King Golden Horn. The other was named Yinjiao Da Wang, Great King Silverhorn. Golden Horn was sitting down when he asked Silverhorn, Brother, when was the last time we patrolled the mountains? Silverhorn answered, It's been half a month. Golden Horn said, Brother, come patrol with me today. Silverhorn asked, Why today? Golden Horn explained, You have no idea. Recently I heard that Tang Dynasty in the land of the East has sent their royal younger brother, the Tang monk, to the west to see Buddha. There are 4 in total. The others with him are named Sun Xingzhe, Zhu Bajie, and Sha monk. 5 if you count the horse. Find out where they are and capture them for me. Silverhorn said, If we require humans, why them? Where wouldn't we be able to find a few to eat? If the monk is heading somewhere, then just let him pass. Golden Horn said, You have no idea. When I left the heavenly realm years ago, I once heard people say that the Tang monk was Elder Golden Cicada descended upon the mortal realm. He's a good man who cultivated through 10 reincarnations without leaking any of his primordial yang energy. If anyone eats his flesh, their lives can be lengthened. Silverhorn said, If eating his flesh can achieve a longer life, what is the point of meditating and collecting merits? Why bother cultivating with dragons and tigers, matching up the females and males? All we need to do is eat him. Let me go catch him then, Goldenhorn said. Brother, you are the impulsive type, but don't be in such a hurry yet. If you walk out the door now and catch every monk you see regardless of who they are, and it turns out they're not the tongue monk, that would not be very appropriate of us. I remember what he looks like and have drawn up portraits for the master and his disciples. You can take them with you. If you see any monk, just use the portraits to check if they're who we are looking for. He then pointed out the identities of each person. Silverhorn took the portraits, learned their names, and headed out the cave. Having selected 30 imps, they came up to the mountain for the patrol. We go back to Ba Jie, who was having the worst luck. He was on the move when he bumped straight into a group of monster spirits. They blocked his way and asked, "Who is that approaching?" The fool only then looked up and lifted his ears. Seeing that they were monster spirits, he began to panic, thinking to himself, "If I tell them I'm a monk seeking scriptures, they will take me." So he answered, "I'm just a traveler." The imps reported back saying, "Great King, he's a traveler." Among the 30 imps, some recognized him and some didn't. Some were on the side when they heard the conversation and said, "Great King, this monk looks very much like Zhu Bajie from the portraits." So the monsters had the portraits hung up. Bajie saw them and said in great shock, "No wonder I am losing my spirit. They've been stealing my spirit by drawing up a portrait of me." The imps used their spears while Silverhorn used his fingers to point at the portraits, saying, "This one riding the white horse is the Tang monk. The one with the hairy face is Sun Xingzhe." Bajie heard that and said, "City guardians, I pray that I am not on there. I will offer a pig head and 3 sacrifices for your religious rituals worshipping 24 gods." He muttered on just to pray his wish could come true. The monster continued, "The dark and tall one is Sha monk, and the one with a long snout and huge ears is Zhu Bajie." The fool heard his name mentioned and became so frightened he hid his snout in his arms. The monster asked, "Monk, show your mouth." Bajie replied, "I'm born with a condition, I cannot show it." The monster then ordered the imps to use a hook to pull it out. Panicking, Bajie stuck out his snout and said, "Petty creatures, here you have it, don't you? If you want to look at it, just look all you want. What's with the hooking?" The monster recognized he was Bajie, so he wielded his treasure broadsword and hacked forward. The fool raised his rake to press the blade down and said, "My child, mind your manners. Watch this rake." The monster chuckled and said, "This monk only left the family halfway through his life." Bajie said, "Splendid child, you've got some intelligence in you. How did you know your father left the family halfway through my life?" The monster answered, "You know how to use a rake. You must have been hoeing the earth in someone's fields before stealing this rake." Bajie said, "My child, you have no idea that your father's rake here is nothing like the rakes that hoe the earth. Its giant fangs come down like a dragon's claw, spilling cold wind and burning fire. I use it to help rid the Tang monk of obstacles with enough power to shade all celestial bodies. Mountains and seas it can turn upside down, frightening living beasts everywhere. I can forgive you for having a few tricks, but a single hit with this rake will leave you with 9 bloody holes." When the monster heard this, how could he back off? Wielding his 7-star sword, he unleashed his attacks and started a back and forth with Bajie. They fought in the mountain for 20 rounds, but no victor came out on top. Bajie got vicious and fought as if his life depended on it. The monster saw him pulling his ears and spitting saliva while throwing his rake around. The way Bajie kept yelling from his mouth also frightened the monster quite a bit. So he turned around to summon the imps to work together. If it was a one-on-one fight, it would have been just fine. But when Bajie saw the imps swarm up together, his limbs started to lose control as it became too much for him to handle. Defeated, he turned to run away. But the road, you see, was rather uneven. He didn't look carefully enough and tripped over some vines. Once he got out of it and resumed running, an imp who lied on the ground tugged on his ankle, which made him fall head down first. The gang caught up and held him down as they pulled on his bristles, ears, feet, and tail. Carrying him away, they brought their catch into the cave. Alas, it truly was. A body of monstrosity once unleashed is hard to destroy. Countless varieties of disaster, when occurred, are not easy to wipe out. We do not know what becomes of Zhu Bajie's life. Please wait until the next chapter.